Peter Obi dodge a big bullet. Do you know that the deadline to jump enter another party don't pass? Today na 11th. They just want cage this man. They just want tie this man up. They want tie this man, cage this man. The hope of the common man for this country. I just dey get too much joy like this. Any day where I no hear Peter Obi voice, come be like I no dey get joy for that day. You know who be Peter Obi? Go and verify. Go and verify. I still dey work like this. Small time wey I get, I hide go watch this man. Some people come dey tell me say you are addicted to this man, you are addicted to Peter Obi. Leave me alone. You no go understand. You no go understand. This man dey give me inspiration. If you look my eyes, you go see say I don cry finish. Na tears of joy. You go know who you be for Tinubu camp to send person. Set camera, may you go see Peter Obi. You know see Ronnie Omokri? Omokri set camera, you won't go see Peter Obi, may you tap for grace.
Mr. Obi, how are you?
They know person wey win 2023 election. They know wetin they do for that 2023 election. My love for this man too much. I no go lie for you. Peter Obi is a man. He get capacity.
The federal government of Nigeria does not want me, Peter Obi, to be a candidate of any party, but I'll be candidate.
Now Peter Obi for USA BDs where they boss brain.
People celebrate you to point of stupidity. Because you come to a place, somebody is telling you, oh, since you became governor, everything has changed. And you're looking, nothing has changed. You know, they give you of award. They call you of name, like you will see His Excellency. When you talk about excellent, is after fair, good, very good, best, excellent. So His Excellency means a life we can emulate. But you see somebody who is not even fair. They're calling him His Excellency. And they'll tell him, since you came, things has changed. And he knows nothing has changed. I went to a particular secondary school. And their roof had a problem. And they had a bill to do it. So I said to them, by the time you come back from Christmas, it's done. In January, I went back there. I went to the same local government. And when it was question time, because I always ask the people, I do what I call participatory democracy. I want to listen to the people.
Do you believe in civil disobedience? And do you think that the young people in Nigeria need to harness the power of civil disobedience to keep politicians accountable? And at what point do we need to be a bit more radical in our approach with keeping politicians more accountable? Because, you know, right now the politicians do not fear the people. So that is my question to you.
Let me first tell you, I won't use the word civil disobedience. It's actually, call it civil obedience. Because you're trying to ask the proper, often at time, leaders, especially in Africa. You know, if you look at what has happened in Africa now, is that this leadership failure over the years. Don't do what is expected. They do what is expected or what they are pushed to do. And there's nothing wrong with it. I have been a leader myself, and I've been corrected, just like I mentioned now about somebody reminding me to pay pensioners and everything. One of the worst things that is happening in Nigeria, let me use Nigeria for example, to us as leaders, that nobody says no to us. If you're a governor in Nigeria, which I've been, people celebrate you to point of stupidity. Because you come to a place, somebody is telling you, oh, since you became governor, everything has changed. And you're looking, nothing has changed. You know? And they give you of award. They call you of name. Like you will see His Excellency. You know, you've been in school. When you talk about excellent, is after fair, good, very good, best, excellent. So His Excellency means a life we can emulate. But you see somebody who is not even fair. They're calling him His Excellency. And they'll tell him, since you came, things has changed. And he knows nothing has changed. So it's good that you question it. Is it right? I went to a school, a secondary school. Somebody just mentioned when I came here today.
We were talking about it.
He said, you were in my school, just here. Yesterday in Yale, a young girl said, I made a first class because of you. Because you bought laptop. And that was the first laptop I used. Somewhere I read it, even in social media. So, was here today, somebody said, you were in my school. I visited all the secondary schools, as governor at least twice. I went to a particular secondary school, and they had their roof had a problem, and they had a bill to do it. So I said to them, by the time you come back from Christmas, it's done. In January, I went back there. I went to the same local government. And when it was question time, because I always ask the people, I do what I call participatory democracy. I want to listen to the people, just like I said. I want to learn. A young JS1, very tiny in front like this, raised a hand. So I said, let's start with him. I've greeted his principal and everybody when I was coming in. They told me things are okay. This young girl raised her hand. And I said, let's start with you. He said, Governor, why do you make promise you don't keep? The whole hall went dead. Everybody, people started shouting. She started crying. So I said, no, wait. There's a promise I didn't keep. And this person knows. And he described it. And I said to the people, you can see what I'm saying. Principal, you told me everything is okay. You told me, I asked you, how at school? Say, oh, we're doing well. But this person remembered there was a promise I didn't keep. The teachers were actually running to come and carry her out of the place. And I told the commissioner for education, I will not live here if I don't give this girl this check. How we do it, I don't want to know. So we went to a local bank, raised the draft, because they've given us the bill. Then we can go back and do the documentation. But I have to apologize to this young girl. Because we need to build public trust. I took the same check and gave to the girl. Guess what happened? The principal and everybody came and carried the girl, ran and was celebrating. But they couldn't tell me. So it's not civil disobedience. We need to tell people they are wrong. Nobody knows everything unless you're an idiot. You know? I don't know everything. You must listen to people. You must. All my life is about listening to people. I live in Lagos. My gate man tells me everything that happens in that street. Once I come back, I say, "Okay, Elijah, what happened today?" He knows every story. The ones I don't know. So if you listen to people, it's great. It's important. So it's not civil disobedience. Do it as often as you can. And those who are stopping it don't want to learn. They don't want to govern. If you must lead, people must say no to you. And everybody cannot like you. If everybody here is happy with me, there's a problem. There must be people who will say, listen, what is this man? This foolish man shouldn't exist. Quite frankly, I've been traveling globally, learning from different leaders who have served, those who are serving, and learning from people like you. Because at the end of the day, it is about you. You can't lead without knowing what the people want. Because you're not doing it for yourself. So you must listen to them. So a leader must listen to people. You must learn always. If you stop learning and listening, you shouldn't lead.
Please join me to welcome Mr. Obi to the stage. Thank you so much for coming all the way to Philadelphia.
Thank you.
Yeah? Well, we've already been chatting today, so I'm going to drive straight into it because you said I shouldn't shy away from the hard questions.
Yes.
All right. So you have said, because I've been listening, that the most important lesson for a leader is to listen and learn. So we're curious to know, what are you listening to right now, and what are you learning?
Interesting. Well, I think I remain on that trajectory. A leader must learn from those he's serving, those working for him, and understand the need of the society. What am I learning now? Quite frankly, I've been traveling globally, learning from different leaders who have served, those who are serving, and learning from people like you. Because at the end of the day, it is about you. You can't lead without knowing what the people want. Because you're not doing it for yourself. So you must listen to them. I gave an example yesterday of how I was able to clear pension and gratuity when I was governor. I used to go to church in the morning, every day. And I was in a church, and an 80-year-old woman came in and said I should leave the church. And everybody was like, oh, maybe something is wrong with this woman. I said, no, let me listen to her. She said she's being owed gratuity and pension, and that God will not listen to my prayers unless she's paid. So I followed her to her house. And after that, I decided I must clear this debt. And you must have heard my famous language about how I stopped crime in a place in Anambra State, in a place we call Apiweka. You know, we have pickpockets there and everything. And I went there as the governor. And there was a madman there. He kept insisting he would talk to me. And everybody said, but the man is mad. I said, let's listen to him. And he told me, he said, the people who come to steal comes from here. See these barracks? You either remove this military barracks from here, or they will stop. Because they go in there and out. He was a madman. But he stays there every day. So he has a local knowledge of what is happening there without the people knowing, because they took him that, okay, it's not part of their problem, it's not of their, but he observes what is happening there. So a leader must listen to people. You must learn always. If you stop learning and listening, you shouldn't lead. You're dangerous.
That's a very good point. So I'm curious to hear for you, what is your mission and what is your calling and how did it come about?
Well, that's a tough one.
I'm going to maybe make it a little bit tougher. There's a story from 2001 where you're with your professor along the lake, and I would love for you to share the story with the audience.
You know, in my business life and living a life as a young man, I started wondering, you know, I lived in the UK for 10 years, and I see things going well in the UK, and things not going well in Nigeria. Out of curiosity, I said, maybe I wasn't as lucky as Ibrahim. Maybe these people have something, or maybe there's something in these people that is not in those of us in Nigeria. So I decided I'm going to go to most business school. You just read a few of them today. I went to London School of Economics, Harvard, Columbia, Kellogg, Oxford, Cambridge, INSEAD.
Everything but Wharton, apparently.
You know. If people ask me, said, you are an alumnus of Oxford, Cambridge, what? I said, I was just looking, maybe there must be something that, and I went to all these schools. I didn't. But in 2001, I was in Kellogg. Everybody who have been to Kellogg knows that they have a famous dean of graduate school called Professor Donald Jacob. Yeah. It was almost like he's the founder. So in 2001, I had a 3-month course seminar. He took us on what he called the world economy. For 3 months, he never mentioned anything about Africa. Not one day. So a day before the last day, and the last day of that lecture is going to retire. He's been there for 54, 57 years. A day before the end of it, I raised my hand. And I said, Dean Jacob, you have not said anything about Africa. He said, Peter, you want to know about Africa? I said, yes. I paid $40,000 for this. And you have not spoken about my continent. So what am I doing here? He said, tomorrow I'll tell you about Africa. So the next day, he finished and looked at me and said, do you want to know about Africa? I said, yes. He said, there's nothing called African economy. I said, have I seen a vehicle called African spec? Now we have American spec, Gulf spec, Asian spec, European spec. Have I ever seen African spec? I said, no. He said, in your country, do you have 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan? I said, maybe, I think so. I haven't seen one, but I believe there will be somewhere. But I told him, I said, I think so. He said, join me for lunch. So I joined Donald Jacob for lunch. If you know Kellogg very well, it's on bank of Lake Michigan. So after having lunch, we had lunch, he said, let's take a walk by the lake. As we're taking a walk, he asked me, do you have any of your country's currency? I said, yes. That time, the biggest denomination in Nigeria was 100 naira. So I brought 100 naira out. And he brought $100. And he said to me, which of these two currencies do you prefer? And I said the dollar. He said, why? I said, because it's 100 to 1. 100 naira to $1. So he asked me to keep the dollar. So I kept the dollar. So I've got $10,000 as against 100 naira. So I kept his dollars, and we walked like about 100 kilometers again. And he said, Peter, he stopped again and said, I should bring out the $100. Of course, I was imagining, because I've already assumed I'm getting this money. I hope he's not going to take it back. And I brought it out again, hesitantly. That I don't want to lose it, because for me, it's already home. So I brought it out again. He brought out my 100 naira. And he said to me, Peter, which of these two currencies you prefer? And again I said, $100. Why? I gave him the same answer. He said, let's sit down. There was like a bench by the lake. He said, let's sit down there. So we sat down, and he looked at me and said, Peter, let me tell you, young man, the only reason why you prefer another country's currency to your currency is the amount of faith you have in your country. You don't have faith in your country. Economy is driven by faith. And you can only have faith in your country if there's a hope. I have taught in this school for 50-something years. There's no country that doesn't have a problem. Chinese people keep their money in Chinese yuan. Singapore in Singaporean dollar. Malaysians in ringgits. And he went around. Then there was no euro. Said Italians in Italian lira. Germans in
Marks.
dogs. German in Brit, UK in pounds. Nobody wants to keep his money. But because you don't have faith in your country, you prefer another country's currency, making it stronger and better. Can I ask you for a favor? I've been interacting with you for the past 3 months. You've always been asking one question or the other. Because there's no day I come to class, I was ready to cover the money I paid. So I make sure I ask questions, because I don't want to go back and miss anything.
Get all the tuition worth.
Yes, I want to know. So I said, he said, you've always asked questions, you've always wanted to know. But today, can I ask you for a favor? I said, okay. He said, go back to your country and participate in building public wealth. Public wealth enriches everybody. Individual wealth impoverishes everybody. You should serve in the public space. That's where you belong. I know you're chairman of a bank, you're this, you're this. So if I tell you what I'm saying now, it'll be difficult for you. But you've told me you've reached certain, you've done well for yourself. You can afford to pay for your food. Just go and serve. And that was the last time we spoke, until I met him after being governor.
Oh, wow.
Because I had to come and report to him what happened to me.
Give him a status update.
Anyway, I went back and something happened. Everybody that know my state or knew what happened in my state then know that schools were closed for 2 years. Children didn't go to school. So I went back with that at the back of my mind. I arrived at my house one day and said to my wife, I'm going to be governor of my state. And it was like Steve Jobs asking John Scully to come and stop selling sugar water. She was like, where are you coming from? You have not voted. You don't have anything. Where are you going? What are you talking? I said, I'm going to be governor of my state. I want to go home and campaign to be governor. I can't continue doing this when the system is collapsing. These children are not in school for 2 years. So I decided to get involved. That's the beginning of my politics. That's why I said until it was changed from that day. So that was my experience. And probably that's what I'm inviting most of you to go and do.
Thank you so much for that. I heard that story and I thought it was appropriate to share it with the people in this room. They're absolutely all about Africa now and definitely about the next.